Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome BAA 110 students to this video recording. This is going to be about Microsoft Access, and we are going to take a general overview about creating a new database using Access, creating tables, queries, forms, and reports. This is going to be a review for your exams, so please pay close attention. We are going to start by clicking or starting a new database. You can go to the new tab and click blank database, or you can go to home and select blank database. And when you open this, you're gonna be directed to this window where you can select where you should or you want to create your database. And we are gonna name this overview, or basically we are gonna name it bookstore because this is the database that we're gonna take or that we're gonna create as a sample. And when we select where and what's the name, okay, the name is wrongly spelled actually, store. And now we will create the database. It already exists. Do you want to replace it? No problem, we're going to replace it. And this is our database. As you can see, it's blank database with one table with one field, although this table needs to be saved and needs to be designed. As in PowerPoint and Word that you learned before, when you select any object, extra tab might open for options about this object, and in this case we are opening the table, so we are having a tab here, table fields and table, which relates to the object that we are using here. We're going to go to the home tab, and I'm going to go to the table, and you can either right click the table to open the design view, or go to the design to design your table. And as you can see here at the beginning, we need to give our table a name, and we are going to start by giving this table a book name. Okay, and now we are going to put fields for this table. Apparently we are going to take this as a, we are going to create a book table as a sample. These fields are not necessarily going to be there in the real world, but it's going to be very similar. We are going to start by writing ISBN as the primary key field for the book, and it's not going to be an auto number. It's going to be a short text, and it depends if it's ISBN 10 or 13. You can set the field size, but we're going to set it around 20 here. And you can write a description just to explain what this window is. This is the book, this is the table name, and you are going to create field name here. You give it a data type, and from down here you set its properties, like is it required or not, the caption, what do you want the caption in the, let's say in the view mode, is going to look like. So if you keep it empty or if you leave it empty, you're going to see ISBN, but you can just say ISBN just to show you what's the difference, 10. And it's required by default since it's a primary key, so definitely it's required. Required means you have to enter the value, you cannot leave it empty. And next we are going to have the title, the table title. Again, it's going to be a short text. It's going to be around 50 characters. Again, you can leave it to 155, but it's always a good practice to not make it too much or 255, because this is going to consume your memory. Although this is not going to affect your memory for this very simple example, but this is a habit and a way of working that you should learn from the beginning. And again, you could put a caption here like a book title, you see here, if you want as a caption. And this is the last time I'm going to use the caption here. It's required, definitely each book must has a title or must have a title. And after the title you can just put the edition, which is going to be a number in this case, as you can see here, number, and you can select it to be an integer or bytes, because it's not a long, or it's going to be 1 2 3 or something like this. And we are going to say or set the year. You see the year is already taken, so we cannot use it, so we are going to say book year. Okay, and in the caption we are going to write year for the display purposes, and this is going to be a date. Usually it could be a number since it's going to be either 2010, 2020, 2013, but to tell you or to teach you how we are gonna handle dates in the queries, we're gonna just set it as a date, and I'm gonna set it as short date, as you can see here, or yeah, short date, this one. Okay, and we are going to set the price, and the price could be a number or could be a currency. Actually, currency is a number, so you don't need to worry about what currency format you are using, but you can use dollars, euros, fixed, anything. We're gonna keep the standard. Okay, and we are gonna put here the publisher name, and this is going to be a primary key in the publisher table. You might think, why the name, why not the ID? Because usually the publisher is like a company name. You cannot have two publishers the same name, and basically you can put publisher ID if you want, but I'm going to use publisher name here. And for the author, we are gonna use the author ID, because the author name could be duplicated as well, of course. So we're gonna use a number as an author ID, and this is going to be required, of course, and the publisher name is going to be required because these are the foreign keys. Foreign keys means primary key in another table. The price is also required. I'm gonna enter it. The book year, I'm gonna leave this not required, the edition and the year, and we're gonna save. Don't forget to save your work always, and then we go back to the view mode. Okay, as you can see here, ISBN 10, this is the caption, book title, this is the caption, edition, year, this is the caption, price, publisher, author ID, and so on. I will go back to the design. I will just make this looks better by changing the casing of the letters, and yes, I need to save, and then we are gonna adjust it an ISBN, and this is gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, for example, and the book title is going to be animation. It's just any kind of information, and the date is going to be, now we are 2022, but we are going to go to 16 November 21. The price is going to be, let's say, $25, and the publisher name is, let's say, Autodisk. Again, these are just examples, and the author ID is going to be 1000, for example. It's a number, and then we're gonna have another ISBN, which is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. Okay, and this is going to be programming second edition, and this is going to be late 2021. It's going to cost $45. It's from Microsoft, and the author ID is 2000, and then I'm gonna keep entering the information. I will pause the recording. I will finish entering the information, and I will come back to you when I finish entering the data. We are back. As you can see here, I already entered 5 books, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, different titles, different editions, and years, and of them of these things. So now we need to create the other tables. Since I said these things are foreign keys, which means primary keys in another table, or in other tables, we need to create the other tables. So we are going to create a new table, and we're going to go to this table and name it author. As you can see here, just need to remember that the common fields, in this case the author ID and the publisher name, should be the same name, same field, same properties. They should be identical, in other words. So this is going to be an author ID. It's going to be a number. When you go back here, just make sure what we did here, it's long integer. Didn't change it, it means, okay. And this is short text. We didn't change the properties, which is good actually. So don't forget what we have to do here. I'm gonna continue with the rest. Okay, we cannot use name, so we need to use author name. It's gonna be short text. It's gonna be 50, and we're gonna just say the address of this author. That's it. And here we are going to use input mask, or okay, to save the table first. Sorry, we're not going to use an input mask for the address. We can use, instead of the short text, lookup wizard, which will enter the values ourselves, and we are going to enter the address, which is going to be USA, and then UK, and then Bahrain, and then KSA, and that's it. We just need to stick to these 3 addresses of authors, or 4 addresses. Next, list or limit to the list. Then we are gonna make sure that we have all these information. Should be required. Name also should be required. And we are gonna add a URL, author URL, but we are gonna keep it not required. If the author has a URL, we can add a URL to it. Save. We go here, and here we have how many authors. As you can see here, we have all these values, and basically the 300, I'm gonna just name it another 300. Okay, we're gonna just keep it 500 if you want, no problem. Okay, and we're gonna go to author here, and 1000 author name, and the address is going to be Bahrain, and 2000 is going to be Ani, and this is going to be from Saudi Arabia, and the 300 is going to be Tony, for example, and this is going to be from UK, and we have 4 and 5. We need to have 4000, and this is going to be Sarah, and Sarah is going to be from the USA, and I'm going to have only these 4, but I'm going to need to change the one of those, the MIT, which is the 4000. Okay, we have 2 Bahrain, so 2 1000. So anyway, it doesn't matter which one. I just need to change this. So you see that you can duplicate the foreign key, not like here. You cannot duplicate it. You cannot enter the same value. Okay, and this is going to be the author, and we are going to, sorry, I'm going to go to the create, and we are going to create a new table here, and this is going to be the last table, table 1. When you go to the design view, you are going to write publisher, and we are going to have, sorry, publisher ID is going to be a number as well, and nothing, no change, and we are going to have a publisher name. And you, okay, you can make abbreviation pub name only, and this is going to be a short text. Sorry, you see, we're going to just write 50 here. It's going to be required, of course, and we're going to just put publisher URL, and we are going to keep it also not required. And the publishers that we have in the book, as you can see, Autodesk, Microsoft, UOB, and MIT actually. Okay, so we are going to start by adding publisher values. We need to save the values, the publisher, and we don't need a publisher ID actually. So I can delete the field. You can delete it from here, as you can see here. Oh, wait, I couldn't delete it because it's the primary key, so we are going to change it, and I can delete it now from here, delete row. So we're going to have publisher name, publisher URL, and the publisher address, or you can put any other thing, but I'm going to just keep it like it is, like this, because I just don't want it to be, to have many fields. just to save some time. This is going to be required since it's a primary key. I just need to make sure what kind of publisher name here is short text 255. We are going to just make it 50 because, as you remember, we said they should be identical. So it's going to be here 50, there it's going to be also 50, and now they are identical, same name, same data type, same properties. Now we have our tables ready. I will close all of them. Yes, I want to save. Okay, now if you want to open them one more time, you can just simply double click each one of those. You see? So when you open a table, we need to open the publisher and we need to put the values actually for the publisher. The publisher name here, I'm going to start with UOB, the publisher.www.uob.edu.bh. As an example, MIT, www.mit.com. These are not real data actually, these are just dummy data. They are not necessarily accurate. On the Microsoft is www.microsoft.com, and for Autodesk it's going to be www.autodesk.com as well. Again, they are not necessarily the correct URLs, just an example. Okay, so we have the data here that corresponds to the data which is available here. As you can see here, we have an MIT, UOB, Microsoft, Autodesk, and here we have MIT, UOB, Autodesk. They don't have to be the same order. Control S, I will save my database. Now there is something important to know about tables. When you click the table or when you open a table, down here in the taskbar, you see that you have the number of records. So if you want to know how many records in this table, you just need to look over this number. You don't have to count them manually. You see you have 1 of 4. Here you have 1 of 5. And here you have 1 of 4. So 4 is the total number of records. And when you click a record, you're gonna see here that you are at record 3 of 4. This row is called a record. This is called a field. Of course, you can change the field properties. You can insert, delete, do all these things either from the design, from here, or from the view tab, going to the field or table feeds. You see you can here change the data type. You can right click, insert, delete, rename, do whatever you want to do with the tables. So this is basically how can you create a table simply. The table names, the number of tables, fields are basically based on the database design, where you specify how many entities you have, what fields are in these entities, in other words, attributes, what's the primary key, what's the foreign key, and all these things. So the next step is you need to create the relationship between the tables. So we're going to close all the tables, and we're going to go to the external data, to the database tools, and we are going to the relationship here. And we are going to add all of our tables, the 3 tables that we have here. As you can see, we have the book and the publisher and the author. As you can see, this is the author ID. I'm going to link it to the author ID. I'm going to enforce referential integrity, and this is going to create one-to-many relationship, which means one author can have many books, and this is correct. And also one publisher can have many books or many books. You see one-to-many relationships. Since you have these symbols, one and many, it means that everything is okay. If you don't see them, it means you have issues. Okay, close. You need to save your changes to the relationships. Yes, I want to do that. And now we are going to just go to the query, and we are going to be as simple as possible because we already have recording about the lecture exercises and labs, and you can refer to them from Blackboard and see more information about the query, different query, but we are going to try to cover all the different possible aspects of the queries. So we're going to go to the query, and in all our examples we are going to use query design, query wizard only. I'm going to go to the query design, where we start from scratch. As you can see here, where you're going to add your tables, which field from which table, if you want to sort based on this field, if you want this field to be visible or not, because you can add it because you want to use it in a condition but not necessarily to be viewed in the results, as we will see in a minute, and the criteria, and of course or. The difference between the criteria and or, when you set different criteria in one row, the relationship between them is going to be and, which means both conditions should be correct or must be true in order for the condition to be executed. whether if it's or, you're going to execute this or this, which means one of them true will lead to the correct execution of the query. So first of all, let's add the book, and you can add all the tables. As you can see here, we are having the book and the publisher and the author. As you can see, I will add right now the book title, the edition, and the price, and I'm gonna add a publisher name, but I'm not gonna, let me just, before doing anything, let me view the, run the query, and you're gonna see that I have a book title, edition, price, and the publisher name. I don't have any condition yet, but now I'm gonna create a condition based on the publisher name, while I don't want the name to be displayed. I just want to see the title of the book, which edition, and what's the price. So the criteria here is going to be, I will turn this off because I said I don't want to show the publisher name in the results. And the criteria is going to be example, for example, MIT. When you press enter or tab, you see it's going to be automatically enclosed by double quotations. And we just need to remind you of one very important thing in Excel here. When you have a number, it will not be enclosed between anything, but when you have a text, it's going to be enclosed by double quotations. When you have a date, it's going to be enclosed by hashtags or hashes. Okay, remember this all the time. Numbers, nothing; text, double quotations; date, hashes. Okay, so here, as you can see, I'm going to display only the books that were published or that are published by MIT. You see I have only one book, which is the engineering, and the publisher name is not there. If you change it to UOB, for example, you're going to have two books, as you might remember from the data entry that we did, and you see we have two books, the database and math. Okay, so this is the first query example, and you can continue the same example actually, but you need always to remember to save the query and always save it using the name given. And the instructions, I'm going to just name this test. Okay, I'm going to add a publisher or an author address as well, and I'm going to add a condition that I want the publisher name to be UOB or the address is Bahrain. Okay, so now I have two conditions. Let me show them so you can see the result and how this will affect it. Okay, so I'm going to display all this information where the publisher name equals UOB and the address is Bahrain. So when I run, you see that I have UOB, and also Autodisk, of course, the Autodisk address, not the Autodisk address, the publisher address is, the author ID is in Bahrain. So as you can see here, I have these fields, UOB or Bahrain. So what is gonna be the difference if I cut this from here and I put it beside it? It's gonna be and. The condition is going to be and. So only the data is going to be displayed where the publisher is UOB and the author address is Bahrain. And I could expect that to have only one field that has this condition applied to it, which is UOB and Bahrain. So you need to be aware of that. Okay. Let me just close this, save it. I will go to the author, actually a book, publisher here. Let me go to the book. Where do I have a date? Here, the year. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna go to the year. So let me go to the design view of the, sorry, not the book, the query design view. Okay, I'm gonna delete these. See, delete and delete, and I'm gonna add the year. I can add it simply from here, and I'm gonna add the book year or the book edition where they are after 2021. I want to view only the books that are published in the year of 2022. So I should say the following. This is going to be, the date is going to be greater than, since it's a date, we should enclose it by hash. It's going to be December 31st, 2021. So any value after that value greater than 31st of December 2021 is going to be displayed, and we're going to find out if this is going to be the true or not. You see, we have only one book which is published in 2022, and if you go back to the books, you see all of them are published in 2021 except the one which is engineering in MIT, which is showed here in this query. Okay, also I can say it's greater than or equal 2022. Why I should write or equal? Because 1st January 2022 is 2022. Okay, and this is going to be the exact same result. Of course, I can say less than this date, which means all the books before 2022, not only 2021, even 2027 or anything else. 27, not 2027, of course. You see, you have 3 books: 2021, 2021, 2021. And even though I can change this to, let's say, 11, it's going to be also there because, okay, let me just save the information first, and I go back to the design and run it one more time. You see, it's 2011. It's also there because we said any book. Let's go to the design query. Okay, close this query design. We said less than this date. So what you need to know, what you need to remember, that handling date should be between hashes. And as I said, we're not going to go through all the examples. We just need to take one example of each one of those, and we are going to we're going to keep this here, and we are going to add another condition as an and. We need the books that are published before 2022 with a price less than $30. So we're going to say less than 30. You don't need to put the formatting or the currency because it's going to be treated as a number. And when you run, you're going to see that you have all the books less than $30 because we have 2 books, which is 45 and 50, which is not going to be included. Again, if you go to the design, if you put this in the or, it's going to be either or. You see, we have now the 45 because this is, although it's 45, but it's published in 2021. The condition is or. So it depends on what you want to do. You want the condition to be or you want the condition to be and. And as a table, you can see how many records are the result of this query by having a look to this. It's 5 out of 5, you see. And the first number is giving you the current record. So this is basically, generally, quickly, what the queries are. There are 2 other objects that we need to explain here, which is the reports and the form. And the form is a way to display and actually edit your tables. So to create a form, we are going to go to the form wizard. As you can see here, you can select from table or from query or from more than one table. So I'm going to select for now from this table. I'm going to select all the tables, all the fields in the table. And then next you can select which layout you want. I'm going to keep the default one. And then you're going to keep, or you are going to give the title of this form. You want to open it to enter information, or you want to modify it in the design. I want to open it. So finish. As you can see here, I'm in the record number 1, record number 2, 3. Of course, you can change. As you can see here, I will just make this 2021 again, or let's say 15. Okay, you're going to see that the change is going to reflect. And maybe we have a discount on this engineering, and this is going to be, instead of 50, it's going to be 40. And as you can see here, this is the last one. And I can add another record. As you could tell from here, when you click here, new record, you're going to add a new record, but I'm not going to do this. This is simply the form. Let's just check if the changes reflect on the table. You see now the price is 40, and this is to 2015, not 2011 anymore. So this is basically the form. This is not everything about the form, of course, but we are just reviewing what we learned which is the basics of forms, because you can go, as you can see, to the layout view and to the design view and change the form and create very interesting things with the forms. Okay, you see here you can change, of course, the fields to make them all looks like the same. If you want to make the design like that, and when we go to the view, you're going to see that this is going to be our form view. Of course, you can go to the design, but we didn't go through this in the lectures. And you add a header and footer and all these kinds of things. And even you do manual data binding for your form elements, or you add buttons and you create extra other things that are outside the scope of this course, of course. So we are going to close the form right now. Yes, we need to save the updates. And the last object we are going to cover here is report. Is another way, as the name implies, it's a report. It's a way to create a report of your tables, of your data actually. So I'm gonna use the report wizard. As you can see here, I'm gonna add all the tables, all the fields actually from the book table, and I'm gonna go to the publisher, and I'm gonna add the publisher name only. And when I go next, you see, how do you want to view your data, by publisher or by book? I'm gonna view it by publisher. As you can see, it's gonna be grouped, in other words, by publisher. So let's say UOB, this is the books of UOB, Microsoft, the books, and so on and so forth. You click next. You want to add any other groupings in addition to this. So for example, you want to group them by the author ID. If you want, you can add another grouping, but I'm not gonna do it right now, no need. You can sort this, and we didn't forget to talk about sorting in query. We're gonna go back and talk about it at the end. I'm gonna sort it by the price in ascending order from cheapest to more expensive books, and then of course the layout, the orientation, next the publisher underscore books report. You can preview it or modify it. Of course I want to preview it, and as you can see here, I'm gonna have the publisher, which has one book, Microsoft one book, MIT one book, while UOB has 2 books. Again, just like others. This is the print preview. I can close the preview, and we can go to the layout view, as you can see here. And I can just change this and select all these fields, as you can see here. And we can just move them to that side. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the price. Just see now, you can see it in a better way. And you can also change this if you want, and move this and change this and do whatever you want to do with that. You see, this is the author ID. And of course you can change to the landscape, which will give you more space, which is going to affect your layout. Again, you can feel free changing the layout as you want, and then when you are done changing the layout, you can just close the report and save it, and then you can view it later on. As you can see, they are grouped by all these things. Of course, just like the forms, you can go to the design view and design it in a more flexible way. But again, this is outside the scope of this course. We generally learned how to create a report because it's an introduction to business computing. You're not an IT student, and this is not a database course, which you learn all these details. Until this point, it's going to be okay, and it's going to be enough for you. And this is the report view, and you can print it as you want. We said we need to go back to the query just to learn how to sort them out. You see, I'm gonna add the price, or I will sort them by the price in descending order. And when I run, you see it's going to be sorted from highest to lowest. Of course, you can sort, let me close this, you can sort using 2 fields. So if they have the same price, they're going to be sorted by the addition from ascending to descending order. Run, you see, of course, since the addition is at the beginning, it's going to be sorted first. So if you want to sort the price, then the addition, you need to swap them. But let me swap them actually. I'm gonna move this and put it here. So we're gonna sort based on price, descending order. Then if they have the same price, based on addition in ascending order. We don't have the same price, so this is not gonna affect our result. But if we return it back, if we move the price back here and we go to run, you see 1, 2, 2 is going to be in descending order. Since they are the same, the price is going to be sorted from highest to lowest. So you can sort by one field, by more than one field. Always the sort is going to start from left to right. There is one more thing that you can do here in Access that we already learned during the course, which is importing or exporting Access tables. So we are gonna import tables. I'm gonna import from an Excel file, but let me check where is my Excel file that I have. First of all, I will pause the recording to find out the file and then I come back. So I will import the file from Excel, as you can see here, and I'm going to go to the browse, desktop, PAA, and apparently I have the same file, Excel file, which is also a bookstore, which has the same fields, author, book, and publisher, but I changed their names to avoid duplication. It's going to be author XLS, book XLS, and publisher XLS. When I import this, I put the source data into a new table. Okay, you see which table you want to, or which sheet you want to import. You can import any one of those, and you can import ranges. I'm going to import one sheet, which is, for example, the book XLS, and then next, the first row is going to be the heading, which is the author code, title, all these kinds of things. Next, keep everything as it is. Index, yes. Duplicates, no duplicates. We don't need any duplicates. The author code is going to be the primary key, and it's double. We can just keep it or make it an integer if we want, because it's going to be a code, not fractions, just integer number. Next, let Access add a primary key. No, I will choose a primary key of my own, and this is going to be the author code. Next, this is going to be the table name. Finish. To change the requests to the table were not successful because they would create duplicates values in the index, primary key, or relationships. Change the data. Okay, it is not imported properly because we have duplications here. We're going to sort from smallest to largest. You see we have two 12s. I'm going to add just one before that. And okay, it's easier than this not to use the author code as the primary key. Actually, I'm going to use the ISBN as the primary key, and this is going to solve the problem, and this is going to solve the issue. As you can see here now, everything looks fine because the ISBN is not duplicated. So this is basically how you import data from Excel to your Access. This was also discussed in the lectures, and you can refer to the recording also for more information from the external data. You can not only import, you can export your tables to Excel, text files, PDFs, or any other formatting. I hope this quick review was useful. Have you all good luck in your examination, and thank you very much for your listening. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.